Would you give me money?
I would. To help your campaign, yes, I would.
Because I don't have much money as an independent.
Put together a list of every human being you've ever met in your life.
One of the things I might say is maybe you shouldn't run.
Gun control is definitely something that you're going to have to comment on.
From my life, I've learned how the world can treat you bad. But I'll tell you not to worry if you agree to vote for me. Hide the dirt and sweep it underneath the bed.
I'm burning the midnight oil putting together the team to run my campaign. I'm considering this 23-year-old as my campaign manager. He masterminded the defeat of one of the most senior congressmen by a political novice 2 years ago.
A successful campaign team starts and ends with the campaign manager. He's the one that's making sure everything happens on time, the bills are paid, the lights stay on. He's the one that's making sure everything gets done properly.
Why should I hire you?
Why should you hire me? Well, first thing I noticed when I walked into the room
My pennant?
was your pennant.
My
I would
first
never
effort?
buy a pennant, ever, and it's illegal. There's no disclaimer. You have to have your disclaimer in a little box that says paid for by, whatever you decide to make your candidate committee. That, and it's hard to read, and it's a weird color. Wouldn't fly.
This man could be my field director. That's the person who gets out the vote and looks after the many volunteers I'm going to need on my campaign. Here are some of the things he'd manage.
All the yard signs, all the bumper stickers, all the collateral, all the pizza that needs to be eaten for our volunteers.
And those dots represent households, but what do the red and blue dots mean?
Sure, so
A decade ago, her position didn't even exist. But now, every campaign needs a digital advisor. She's researched my district.
So if we're looking at your voters, so these are Republicans and Democrats who own guns. Gun control is definitely something that you're going to have to comment on. You're in a state where the National Rifle Association is headquartered, and they pride themselves on having the best gun laws in America. And by having the best gun laws, they mean they have no gun laws.
Some of this is rural, right?
This man's looked at my chances as an independent.
One of the things I might say is maybe you shouldn't run.
I have a BBC program to make, so I must carry on. I need to find a way to pay for my team plus the other expenses. I've been told I will spend $9 per vote on advertising. I need 120,000 votes to win this seat. So I need more than $1 million to run for Congress. The big political guns, the Democrats and Republicans, raise money through fundraising events like this. The Republican Advance in Virginia, where supporters pay at least $50 to attend. I don't have access to any party machinery. The big money comes from political action committees, or PACs. They raise funds for candidates. The even bigger bucks come from super PACs that support issues by giving money to select campaigns. There's no limit on donations from super PACs. Individuals and businesses can give as little as $1 or millions. I don't have a PAC or super PAC, so I've recruited this man as my fundraiser to find out how to raise $1 million.
We'd want to put together a list of every human being you've ever met in your life. So we'd go through your junior high school yearbook, your high school yearbook, your college yearbook, your law school yearbook. We'd go through your wedding invitation list. We'd go through every conceivable list that we could come up with. And we would probably find somewhere in the neighborhood of, 12 to 1,500 people who you probably know and that we could identify, and hopefully 2/3 or more of those are people who can give $250 or more, and that's where we would start. Get your friends to raise money from their friends, so that we sort of create a web of people who are out there giving money and raising money. And our hope is that you'll turn to a friend and say, I really appreciate your contribution of $250 or $500. I was hoping that you might be able to get 10 or 20 or 30 of your friends together to also write checks of $100, $250, $500. You might call up your friends and say, my critics say that the one problem I'm going to have in running for office is that I'm not going to be able to raise the money. And you know something? My critics will be right unless I'm bold with my friends, so let me be bold with you. Jane, could you make a $500 investment in my campaign? I had a candidate once calling his child's friend's parents, and when they wouldn't call back, you know, his daughter would go to school and say, your daddy isn't calling my daddy back.
I asked my Twitter followers, my 60,000 Twitter followers, how many of them would give me $1 hypothetically for my congressional run. And I know this is hard to see, and it's also mirrored writing, but look at that. 62% of those who voted said that they would give me $1. I'm pretty amazed. That also, of course, means that nearly 40% won't even give me a hypothetical dollar. So that's some progress, but it's clear I'm going to have to still ring up some people in order to fund my congressional race.
What are you going to do for middle class people who punch a time clock that work for someone else?
And I'm so concerned how you're poor and underfed. I may own several homes.
I'm Linda Yueh, and I endorse this message.